Shri Hare Namaha. We shall be starting the session now. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Parama Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Adi Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Muru Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Madananda Tirtha Bhagavat Padacharya Bhyo Namaha, Shri Veda Vyasaya Namaha, Shri Bharatyai Namaha, Shri Saraswati Namaha, Shri Vayave Namaha, Shri Brahmane Namaha, Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Shri Narayanaya Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha, Mokshaprada Shri Vasudevaya Namaha, Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranatakleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो ग्रन्थमुदीरयेत् नारायणं सुरगुरुं जगदेकनाथं भक्तप्रियं सकललोकनमस्कृतं च त्रैगुण्यवर्जितम् अजमविमाद्यमीशं वन्दे भवग्नम् अमरासुरसिद्धवन्द्यम् अविकाराय शुद्धाय नित्याय परमात्मने सदैकरूपरूपाय विष्णवे सर्वजिष्णवे नमो हिरण्यगर्भाय हरये शङ्कराय च वासुदेवाय ताराय सर्गस्थित्यन्तकारिणे एकानेकस्वरूपाय स्थूलसूक्ष्मात्मने नमः अव्यक्तव्यक्तरूपाय विष्णवे मुक्तिहेतवे सर्गस्थितिविनाशानां जगतोऽस्य जगन्मयः मूलभूतो नमस्तस्मै विष्णवे परमात्मने. In the last session we had discussed about the different units of time and what role they play and how exactly time is related, and overall about how time is relative. It is not something fixed for everyone, and everyone has different scales of time, and moreover the scale of time even varies in different planets and different realms of the universe. So this is one thing which the Shastras have predicted thousands of years ago, even before the modern physicists had come up with these theories. And we had also discussed about the units of time, and which we have mentioned in our translation of the Vishnu Purana 6th Amsha, which we published last month as well. So a question here: had anyone attended yesterday's event at Puttige Mata?
No.
Okay, so yesterday even during the event also Shri Vishwadiraja Tirthru had given an explanation on the Jagat Chakra and the concept of time, which we had discussed in the previous sessions. So if I believe the recordings of the same will be available on Puttige Mata's YouTube channel. If they are available, we will share them later. So as we had discussed in the previous sessions, this is actually what what is known in modern science as what we call as a temporal illusion. So these are illusions of time, or how we may feel that at one point of time time is running very fast or very slow. So ultimately this is again one more thing which Tattvavaada explains perfectly, because every soul is different. So what we experience is also different, and what we feel is also different. So this is also one reason why we have something which we discussed in the initial sessions called Darshana Bhasha in the Puranas. So Darshana Bhasha is that the language used in the Puranas, or those parts of the Puranas which talk about the incidents from the point of view of another philosophy or Darshana. So this is what we call as Darshana Bhasha, because that is what the Rishis or those Devatas feel they experience. So that is why that is called Darshana Bhasha, and that is again something relative to that person. And similarly, the same is the case with the concept of time as well. And as we discussed, even in the Shastras, there are multiple mentions of how, due to at different stages of spiritual progress, one has different sorts of temporal illusions actually, and one feels that time moves differently, and one's focus also varies. So primarily we feel temporal illusions because of variations in our focus or concentration on any actions that we perform. And as we had discussed previously, the highest state of concentrating on Bhagwan, which is achieved after attaining aparoksha jnana, is one state called dharana. So dharana means literally means bearing or holding, but here it refers to us, our mind being focused and engrossed in Bhagwan with all our actions and every breath, every second or every microsecond. every time we are alive and we are breathing, we are in that state of thinking of Bhagwan and remembering that he is the goal of all our actions. So this is a state which is attained after total spiritual enlightenment or aparoksha jnana. Till then, there are other stages where first one has slight bhakti with just limited knowledge, and then one progresses to develop more knowledge and more jnana, but one is not in the state of aparoksha jnana. This has actually been explained by Sri Jayatirtha in Nyaya Sudha and some of his other granthas as well. We shall share them sometime later in the upcoming sessions and discuss more about them. So, till here, any questions?
Harishanvasa brother.
Harish Srinivasan.
Yeah, I was asking that after attaining a Moksha if there are any lives, then do we remember the past lives?
Yes, sometimes that is possible. If that person attains the siddhi of having trikala jnana, that is knowing the past, present, and future.
So if there is life after Aproksha that means it is possible that we may remember all the past lives that we had.
Yes, if the person has that quality of trikala jnana, so that is actually one type of siddhi which is attained, but not all aparoksha jnanis will have all that knowledge.
Okay, brother.
And again, among the aparoksha jnanis, the maximum state a human can achieve is being for a manushya jiva, a manushya can become an aparoksha jnani, and after that, that is the limit. More than that, he or she cannot achieve the a higher status like a devata or rishi or become more powerful than them. So that is the maximum as per their capacity which one can attain. So similarly, for the rishis, for the nagas and the gandharvas, they'll have higher capacity and they'll become greater than the human aparoksha jnanis after they attain aparoksha jnana. And for the rishis, it is slightly higher, and then for the devatas, again, it is higher. So we have actually elaborately discussed this even in our translation of the Vishnu Purana in the sixth Amsha's seventh Adhyaya, where there is actually a direct mention of the concept of Taratamya, and the same is repeated in the Bhagavata Purana also. So one can refer to that as well.
Okay, brother.
Explain what and Aproksha Jnana?
I need to say, what is the paroksha jnana and the difference between paroksha and aparoksha jnana?
Uh, Paroksha basically means hidden or something unknown or covered, enveloped. Aparoksha means uncovered or not hidden. It means explicit knowledge. Paroksha jnana is the state which we can achieve right now easily, where through the shastras and by applying their philosophical teachings in real life, we'll be in the state of practicing that knowledge. But it is not something that it is not the case that we have achieved the sight of Bhagwan and we have achieved the perfect knowledge of him. So that's why it's called paroksha jnana. And we cannot be in the state of dharana where we are seeing Bhagwan in all actions and we remember him at all times. Our mind is not 100% focused on him. Maximum, as said by Sri Vishwadiraja Tirtharu, there will be certain times during the day when anytime randomly we could say that there will be a certain duration where we will not be focusing on Bhagwan and we will forget about spirituality at one point for some time at least. But so this is why this is called paroksha jnana. And the next state is the highest one is aparoksha jnana, where we have clear cut knowledge about him and the mind is always focused on him. So in that state, there is actually no attachment to any of the materialistic objects at all. And usually, certain aparoksha jnanis, they even live like avadutas and they prefer to avoid human contact and they live like that. But again, that depends on the person. So there are aparoksha jnanis also who have lived like materialists and who have had a material life, but they are not materialistic. They do not have a materialistic mentality. That's the difference. Basically, they do not have even little attachment to all the materialistic goals and the objects which we have. Does
So
it make it clear?
basically, we can say like Siddhas, those are Paramahansas or like God Bhagavad Prema. They are
Yes.
Aparoksha, Avdhuta, and those are practicing. They can be considered as a Paroksha, right?
Not exactly, but Siddha means one who has achieved that. So that is applicable to the Aparoksha Jnanis. They are usually called Siddhas, or those who have achieved moksha through Aparoksha Jnana. What is it, Manjunath?
Namo Namaha, Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
No, what Aporoksha Jnana exactly? Many people saying that you Madhvas have Aporoksha Jnana. When
That is answered in the Shastras, no? When one will achieve that state of dharana and how to achieve it. There are so many rules. There are yamas and niyamas. Also means restrictions and what are the rules supposed to be followed. And achieving aproksha jnana is not a piece of cake or anything, but again, it's not impossible either. Now in today's times, we do not have many people who have achieved aproksha jnana. We have a limited number of people. So but because of that, but anyway, the Shastras have already given the clear cut instructions on how to achieve Aparoksha Jnana, especially in that is why we published the translation of the Vishnu Purana's 6th Amsha, because that elaborately explains that. The 5th, 6th, and 7th Adhyayas explain what is known as Atyantika Pralaya. Now, Atyantika Pralaya is something which is not Pralaya of any loka or the world or any other entities, but it is an individual journey where one destroys uh, their binding to samsara. That is called Atyantika Laya, or total destruction, because that is what is the most problematic thing for any Atma. So because of that, it is called Atyantika Laya, which is the complete destruction of all the sorrows and the issues which we experience in during samsara. And mainly we have the three tapas, which are Adhyatmika, Adi Daivika, and Adi Bhautika, which are three types of tormentations which we experience all the time in samsara. So Guruji is here. He will explain now. Hare Rama Guruji.
Hare Rama, Raja, can you hear me?
Yes, Guruji.
You've been saying you've been doing something?
Yes, Guruji. Manjunath was asking a question as to what exactly Aparoksha Jnana is and how it can be achieved.
Hmm.
So I was explaining how the entire process is described in the Shastras, and especially the recently published translation of the Vishnu Purana's 6th Amsha, where it is explained how one should reach the state of dharana, where, as you explained last week, that one is constantly in the focusing on Bhagavan at all times through all actions.
Hmm.
And he was asking, many people say that why Madhvas keep talking about Aproksha Jnana, and not many have achieved it either.
How does he know that not many have achieved?
Mainly because I assume he must have thought that because we like there are we do not know many people who have achieved Aproksha Jnana, and they're not very popular.
That's a different premise, right? But based on that, how can you make a bold statement that not many have achieved Aparoksha?
Yes, Guruji. And that's why I also mentioned that usually those who are Aparoksha Jnanis are not those who want popularity, and they'll not some of them even don't even have much human contact either.
You may have, once you get Aparoksha Jnana, you may even have human contact, but then you will know to manage that in such a way that your Aparoksha Jnana need not be showcased.
Yes, Guruji.
Transactional dealings are possible, right?
Yes, Guruji.
You might be thinking that that fellow is a shopkeeper or a fell down. It burned and it fell down. It died because of his mere glance. So then he thought for himself, I'm so powerful, so I must be some very big Brahmajnani or something. And then after he got up from there, he started moving, and he had to pass through a dwelling, a human habitat, a village or something. There he saw. He went to a house to ask for food. He's a snataka, right? So he can ask people, give me food. Grahastha will not ask, but the snataka, all the other ashramas in the society are based on the grahastha, because the grahastha will feed them food and take care of them. So he asked them, give me food. So the lady of that house, she came. She said, I'll bring for you, and she went inside the house. But she went inside and she never came back. I mean, for a long time. Long time in the sense, a little more longer than expected. Yeah. And then when she came back, say she was supposed to come back in, say, 1 minute, she made it like 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And then he was waiting. When she came back, he looks at her with the same fury in his eyes. And immediately she tells him, why do you look at me like that? You think I'm that bird that you burnt by glancing? So he was wonderstruck. How come this woman knows about it? It happened just when I was alone. There was nobody there. How does she know it? Does she know it? Has she seen it with her eyes? No, she has not seen. What is she doing some special japa, mantra, tantra? No. She is just participating in the Jagat Chakra in her own. And when you participate in your own capacity, you get connected with everything else. So what you need to know, it will be made known to you. You don't have to search for it. It will come to you. Because it's a big network. It's the biggest network that is there. And you will be given what you need. That is the privilege of being a participant in the Jagat Chakra. It will make you so much endowed with wealth. So now I hope you understand what's the difference between aparoksha jnana and knowledge and direct perception.
So she was having a Prokshigyana.
Naturally, she was having.
That's why she got to know
She was
that.
only serving her husband. Why she got late is because her husband also had to be attended. He came in and he was tired from work, so she was going to bring the food for this. Had to attend to her husband, and she attached higher priority to that. Of course, it's not that she forgot him. She had him in his mind that I have to give him the food. But then she attended to her husband. She made him comfortable little. Maybe she arranged for a place for him to sit, and the basic. And that took time. Time means maybe it took 2 minutes extra. But when you are waiting outside a house like that, asking for food, even 2 minutes appears like a long time. That's all. She was just serving her husband. You were asking something, Rajeshri?
Yes, Guruji, I was asking that because of she attained a Prokshagyan, she got to know about that bird.
Yeah, and he was surprised. How does it happen? She said there's a naturally God made worldwide network is there, World Wide Web.
So after that, what happened?
After that, he was surprised. He was surprised to know that such a thing is possible. And he did not have that kind of a vision. And he was thinking, I have studied Vedas and I've done all great penances. And how can she, after all, a small, villager serving her husband, how can she have what I don't have?
So that person was having that power of burning that bird, or how did it
He
just get
didn't, he
burned?
didn't know that he has any power like that. But when
Then
it,
how that bird got burned?
he didn't intend that. He was getting disturbed, and being disturbed, he saw that. That's all. And just because he saw it like that, this happened. He did not intend that that bird should get burnt. He just didn't want to be disturbed by that bird.
Okay, Guruji.
So even that happened because he wanted to focus on his duty.
Ji Guruji.
But he's being Sarvajna, quality of Avaroksha Jnana. Lost. Somebody put a message. He's being a Sarvajna, quality of Aparoksha Jnani. Does Aparoksha Jnani know everything about the past, present, and future and every single atom in the universe? Why do you need to know about every single atom in the universe? Speak out. You can speak out. Don't be. Yeah. What's this? Rishit, you want to say something? I'm trying to have a conversation with you. Are you there?
He says he cannot turn on his mic, Guruji.
Is it? Okay. 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 But so you want to type or something? Why would you want to know every atom in the universe? Even as an Aparoksha Jnani. But if an Aparoksha Jnani wants, if he has a need to know, he will know. You don't to perceive, to understand how Lord is pervading everything, you don't need to know every atom in the universe. It's enough if you know one atom in the universe properly. To know Vyaptim cha bhuteshu, to know the Vyapti of God, to know Yatsyat Sarvatra Sarvada. To know about the Vyapti of God, you don't need to know every atom in the universe. Who thinks like that? I don't think even Brahma knows every atom of the universe. He is the head of all Aparoksha Jnanis. It's enough if she did not know every atom of the universe. But the thing is, the point is that Aparoksha Jnana, whether that means that you are a Sarvajna, you are a Sarv. God himself calls them a Sarvajna. Yomam evam asammodaha janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Can you reference that? Somebody. 15 chapters. 15th chapter, it should be the last but two verses or last but three verses. 15, 20, 15, 18. Look at 15, 18. 15, 19. Okay. Did everyone catch hold of this verse? Is there anyone who's not found this verse?
Shall I display it, Guruji?
You can display it. Very good. So you see 15:19 there. Yomam evam asammudha janati purushottamam. Sa sarvavit. Sarvavit means sarvajna. Sarvavit. A person who understands me as the Purushottama without a doubt. Krishna calls that person as a Sarvavit. Sarvavit means a person who knows everything. Because God is everything. And if you know how to perceive God, then you know everything. Everything, when you use that phrase, it literally doesn't mean that you have knowledge and information about every atom of the universe. It means that you know everything that you need to know. And if there is a need for you to know about every atom in the universe, you can rest assured that that will be given to you. Is that clear? Does that make sense?
Yes, Guruji.
So she did not try to know about what he did there, nor was she even interested to know whether he burnt a bird or not. But because he showed that fury, had he not shown a fury that she came late, maybe she wouldn't have to bring up that event. But
Yes,
when,
Guruji.
yeah. So when he brought it up, then it was given to her. It's not that she tried to access mentally what has he done before. No, nothing like that. She could see it, even without intentionally wanting to see what he did before. It offered itself to her vision that she could see that something like this has happened. And it is not just vision. You might see something, but then with it comes along with a conviction that what I'm seeing is true. And the confirmation is that she told him, I'm not like that bird. And he knew for once that, how, and that's what actually intimidated him. How can she know that? And when he was wonderstruck by that, and after receiving the bhiksha, then she tells him that he, because she wanted him to correct the false pride that he has developed because of what his idea that he knows. She told him, if you go uh, outside that village or in another village, she told that there is a dharma vyadha. He's like a butcher. He's not a butcher. It means he doesn't do the butching. He doesn't kill the animals. But then he was involved in the sale of animal meat for food. And she tells him that if you go to him, he will know much more. And he went to the Dharmavyada. The Dharmavyada knew about the bird, and he also knew about his meeting with this lady. So, does that say something about Aparoksha? Apara aksha means, apara means another in a generic sense.
Yes, Guruji.
Inner. Aksha means I. The I that we don't use always. But even now, when you reflect on things, you might use the outside I. For example, maybe you met somebody. So you are reflecting. Today's people don't know to reflect because their inner eye is shut very powerfully, very close, uh, very tightly. So they find it hard to open the inner eye.
Yes, Guruji.
So that inner eye is something that we use to the extent that it is open, but then aparoksha jnana has happened means you begin to see from your inner eye. That vision is much more important, significant than what you see with your outer eye. After aparoksha jnana, whatever karma, sadhana you do, people say that that is when life really begins. Until then, you are just dragging. Life begins when aparoksha jnana happens. And you become aware of the presence of God in everything.
Yes, Guruji.
Any other question, Prajna? You wanted to bring the question up that you brought up to me.
Yes, Guruji, it was actually Rishit's question. So it was actually a similar question as to why even though it is emphasized repeatedly that we should not focus too much on materialistic pleasures, why do the Dasarapadas and other bhajans pray to Bhagwan for giving us material wealth and other such things?
Material wealth, we should not fall behind it. We should pursue only God. But then material wealth will come after you when you are after God. ದಾಸರ ಪದಗಳು ಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ, ಭಾಗ್ಯ there doesn't mean material wealth.
Guruji, you were
If you're
not
thinking.
audible for the last 30 seconds or something.
I didn't speak.
Okay, Guruji.
When Dasar Padagalu, when he says Bhagya, like Bhagyada Lakshmi Baram Nammani Saubhagyada Lakshmi Baram. Then she is the Bhagya. And then all the other things, Kanaka Vrishtiya, Kareyuta Bare, that is her nature of coming. Majjige Yolagina Benneyante. Those are all upamas and similes. But when he is saying Bhagya, what does he mean by Bhagya? Idu Bhagya, Idu Bhagya, Idu Bhagya Vayya. Padumanabhana Padasmarane Bhajane Sukhavayya. Padumanabhana Pada Bhajane Sukha, that is Bhagya, according to him. So where is he asking for material wealth? Which Dasara Padagalu do you refer to when you say in Dasara Padagalu he's asking for material wealth? He is definitely addressing his compositions to people who are after material wealth. So he has to In those songs, the why Purandaradasa or Kanakadasa are writing their songs is not so that it will bring material wealth. They are pursuing the guna, rupa, nama, lile of God. But then the point is that they are dealing with people who have materialistic aspirations. So, how will they pay attention to this unless they are told that your materialistic aspirations also will be taken care of?
We should ask for wealth. It should be spiritual wealth.
Yeah, yeah. You should ask for spiritual wealth.
So when he says Bhagya, we are assuming it is material.
It is our assumption that Bhagya means material wealth. He is not at error for that because he has clarified what he means by Bhagya in other songs. I think it's fairly clear when he says Idu Bhagya, Idu Bhagya, Idu Bhagya Vaya. How clear, more clear than can a person be? You have heard that song? Idu Bhagya, Idu Bhagya, Idu Bhagya Vaya. Padumana Bhana Padasmarane Bhajane Sukha Vaya. Oh, but some of you don't understand Kannada, right? Fine. Is there any question regarding that? We don't ask for material wealth, but material wealth comes on its own. And when it comes, we know how to use it. Okay. Yeah, Rajeshri, you want to ask something?
Yes, Guruji. I wanted to ask that even after attaining Aproksha Gyan, why was she woman still in that Grihastha life?
Come again? What? After getting Aparoksha Jnana?
Yes, that woman got Aproksha Gyan, so why was she still in the Grihastha life? Serving
Why is
husband
it a
and
question? She got Aparoksha Jnana because of functioning in a Grihastha life. She did not get Aparoksha Jnana by doing some mantra tantra somewhere.
okay, Guruji.
If the goal is to go somewhere,
The Grihastha life itself is a sadhana. Okay, that. Uh, See, the what you are thinking is an activity which is materialistic. Is actually not really materialistic in its own nature. People have made it materialistic. Which part of Grahastha Ashrama do you think is materialistic?
Like serving, doing all the chores and everything.
Doing the
Chores are serving. Why is it? Just a minute.
I had to take a phone call from my father, so I had to. Hare Ram Prajna, am I audible?
Yes, Guruji.
I had a phone call from my father. I had to take it. So what were we saying? Yes. The sadhana that you do here, which you think are materialistic, are not ultimately materialistic. People have made it so because of their distorted minds. None of them are materialistic
So,
on their own.
yes, Guruji. So, even after being in Grihastha life, we can attain Aproksha.
How else? You have to. That is the sadhana. Pandavas were all grahasthas now.
Yes, Guruji.
All our Sapta Rishis, all the great Rishis are all grahasthas only. You name me
Ji,
one Rishi who is not a grahastha. It's hard to find. I don't think there's anybody. So like that, all the ashramas, they are only focused towards sadhana. Everything that you do, including eating, cooking, even mating, defending, everything is sadhana. The whole point of Adhyatma sadhana is not to tell. Madhvacharya is never of the opinion that you need to take sannyas for sadhana. If that was the case, why did Krishna ask Arjuna to fight the battle?
Ji, Guruji.
These are all common misunderstandings that pervade the society. Because older schools of thought, they have spread such ideas. Buddhism requires that you become a bhikkhu, a bhikshu. Only then you are getting into spirituality. And otherwise, if you are living in a life with wife and children, then there is no way you can realize that the world is a big zero. And actually, this taking sannyas has become rampant in the. It was never there in the olden times like this. That like there is a matha and then there will be a Swamiji taking sannyas. This all started from Buddhism. Buddhists had something called viharas. Their epicenter was Bihar, and that's how it gets its name, Bihar, because of Buddhist monasteries. The old name of Bihar was Magad, but with the introduction of Buddhism, people started making lots and lots of viharas. And people who are doing their dharma, like grihastha dharma, that all entails a certain amount of sacrifice, a certain amount of sadhana. So people thought, let me just go, and viharas were anyway built in very beautiful places. So let me go and chill out there, man. I'll get anyway food that I want to eat. Anyway, in Buddhist monasteries, they eat non-vegetarian food. Yes. That's how all this culture started. In Vivekananda mission, Ramakrishna mission, also they eat meat within the monastery. I know because I've seen this with my own eyes. I don't have to take any testimony from anybody. They'll be fighting over the chicken's leg, and then they'll go and speak Vedanta.
Do they still do this now
Yes, as
also?
far as I know, there has not been any resolution that they have passed that we need to change that. Actually, this whole sannyas and all this thing that you wear saffron and shave your head to become a sadhaka is a whole farce. It's a whole thing which has misguided our society more than anything. Spirituality is not an isolated pursuit. There's nothing more misleading than that, because that goes against the very basic fabric of spirituality, that you need to become something in order to realize yourself. The whole Shastra is about teaching you how to see the presence of God within your chores, your daily chores, eating, mating, sleeping, defending. This is what we live for. This is what we do. Is there anything else that you can do in your life? Conceptually, you can think about different things, but ultimately, your actions amount to either it will be an attempt to get food to eat or it will be an act of consumption. Mating, it's dealing with the opposite sex. Sleeping, resting, defending, making arrangements for your security and defense. Is there anything else other than this that you do? And the animals do the same thing. If everyone takes sannyas, birth rate will drop. But now birth rate is dropping even without people taking sannyas, because fertility of the man has gone down. Now, male infertility is a major problem that the world, even WHO, is facing. Recently, WHO, World Health, the UN, or was it who the WHO made a final statement that we are at the verge of human beings may become extinct if it goes on like this. The last statement from WHO was that we are at a need now to recognize a man who has 15 million sperms in 1 ml of his semen as healthy and fertile, which was 50 years ago. Even an average healthy person, not a uniquely healthy person, as an average person had 200 million sperms in 1 ml of his semen. The most healthiest person of today has a maximum of 50 million sperms. This is just not about sperm. It's about, it may be the sperm, but then it speaks about your overall health. It speaks about your well-being. The Mysore Genetics and Genome Department has refused to accept the WHO's 15 million mark because it's saying that we should aim at least at 20. The pressing need for them to bring down their threshold values is because otherwise you would have to determine that you are living in in an unhealthy world. If you determine that people who have less than 2 million sperms are not healthy, then practically no one is there in this world who qualifies as a healthy individual. Then you will have to activate your protocol of dealing with an unhealthy person. So that's so much about birth rate. Birth rate will go down. Why do you expect that it will go up? What great thing you're doing for the wellness of Mother Earth and nature? Do you think increasing your number, you think it's out of control? Nothing is out of control here. Don't be under that illusion. If you people increase, they keep saying, the medical people establishment keep bragging that we have increased the life expectancy. What life expectancy might have increased, but see the semen, see the fertility levels of the males that are there now. Women are also infertile more than ever before. They've got harmonic imbalances. They've got PCOD trouble, have problems conceiving. Almost every street in Bangalore has an IVF to help people to conceive. And all these IVF born kids, they are almost 99%, they are assured to be infertile.
Guruji, can I ask some question?
You have already asked one question. Sure, man. Go ahead. You already your very question that can I ask a question is a question in itself.
Okay, question regarding Varnashrama Dharma, because just like in right now nowadays IVF is going on, so that's why how we can accept Varnashram Dharma in this way.
Don't go to the IVF. Don't go to the IVF. That's all. Don't resolve to such means. See, IVF or not, today woman, she is conceiving, she is forced to engage in copulate with males that she really doesn't appreciate in from her own inner self. It has led to a conflict. It has led to a gender conflict which has affected her health immensely. Infosys Sudha Murthy, that Narayan Murthy's wife, she has now stepped into Indian politics and she's MP now. And her first debut in the parliament, her first appearance, she has spoken about cervical cancer, how it has become a huge problem to women and how government needs to take steps so that they can pre-diagnose it before it goes to untreatable. Basically, people have forgotten that we are living in a highly sophisticated, highly complex world. God has given us a very complex system. It is very sophisticated. IVF, they'll use that gun to insert the semen. And that gun itself also, oftentimes, they'll take it beyond the cervix. The cervix is not the area that the means of planting the seed has to exceed. It is not only in humans, in cows also, the whole problem of brucellosis has come because of the forced insertion of uh, garbha. Gender conflict. She's not even conscious that she's getting impregnated. She's pregnant and she doesn't even know that somebody came and poked something and she became pregnant. It's the worst kind of violence that we are inflicting on animals. They think that brucellosis, why brucellosis is not there in the native breeds of the cows, which are not being part of the dairy industry? You tell me that. Because there is no forced insertion of seed. She knows when to become pregnant, and she'll become pregnant with full masti. She'll have a bull impregnating her, and with her vagina, she'll hold the genitalia of the bull nicely and feel herself becoming pregnant. That feel is she's entitled for that. How can you rip her out of that? Who are you? And ever since that has started, a lot of big dairy farms in India have closed down because of brucellosis. And that is how pasteurization became a civilizational norm. Otherwise, when you heat milk, we don't consider it milk after that. It is something else. The kshira, all the qualities of kshira are present in the milk that is gotten from the cow, and it is still warm from the body of the cow. When that warmth is gone, it's over. It's not milk anymore.
Just a minute.
So please try to think on the lines that I'm trying to tell you, that we are messing up big time, because exactly because of this idea that we have assigned spirituality to some saffron robe with shaved head and with sitting in some monastery doing some mantra tantra. But we have forgotten that spirituality is not something that is bifurcated like that. It pervades everything that you do. It pervades your eating, mating, sleeping. Anybody who has done this bifurcation has done the worst harm to humanity and to the animal world and to the whole earth in general. So please come out of that. Madhva is trying to bring us out of that misunderstanding. You can't be putting a gun into the vagina of a cow, inserting it beyond her cervix and making her unintentionally, unintendedly, unconsciously pregnant and still hope to get some siddhi from some mantra. The moment you do that, you are disqualified from getting any siddhi from any mantra. We are doing this. First of all, I want you all to acknowledge that let us accept that we are villains. We may not have that beard and a spot below our eye, the black spot that usually villains have. I have one. But we are villains. We have to accept that. We are people who can propagate such violence to animals. So Sudhamurthy comes up and says that government has to take measures and programs so that cervical cancer can be detected before the final stages. But people are not talking why cervical cancer first comes in the first place. Because this woman will look at the money of that person. That person will not even be a man, first of all. He is a man child. He is a child still. He has not become a man. And then she has to take his genitals inside her vagina. And she doesn't feel like a female. She doesn't feel her feminine pleasure. That is the reason for cervical cancer. The gender conflict. And people who are actually doing something which makes them a man, maybe they are actually tending to cows, maybe they are tending to the land. To such people, the female would be in her own nature attracted to a person like that, but then the societal norms will dictate her against accepting that kind of a person as her husband. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So this whole birth rate control because of sannyasa is a stupid proposition. Birth rate control will happen anyway, even if you don't take sannyasa also. So because of all this abuse that we have done, we have reached this level of fertility health that the WHO is now forced to even accept, who would be considered a total imbecile, a total napumsak. That kind of a person also today we are forced to accept that, okay, you are a man. That person will not be able to fight any battle for the cause of reality, for the cause of things that we value. He is not a person who can defend, but still society grants that he is a man. He is a man. Earth doesn't want such men. It doesn't want to be guarded or protected by people who are not vikrant. Nahyaham kamaye nityam avikrantena rakshanam. Earth is speaking to Parashurama. Earth is speaking to Krishna, I guess. Bhumita is telling that I do not want protection from a person who is not a Vikranta. It's from Bhumita statement. Nahyaham kamaye nityam avikrantena rakshanam. I don't want avikranta people to protect me. So we are all, what to speak of Vikranta? We are not even like man in the definition of the true sense today. So yeah, nature has its. If we don't live like in the process that will make us into real men, nature doesn't want. Earth doesn't want us. So she is reducing the semen levels. Let us see how long this medical establishment that they are bragging about increasing life expectancy. I will see how long they will brag about it. Yeah, the population went up for once, but then things will take time to bear effect. Population of the world was 3 billion, it became 6 billion, and in another 3 years they are calculating it will become 9 billion, then 12 billion, then 15, 20 or billion, what 100 billion. It won't go like that. Nature has its own check, its own feedback circuit, its own rigor. It knows where to keep whom, and no one can overrule nature. She might make you feel, she might give you a free hand for some time, which she does always, that you might be feeling that she is not in control. You might be feeling that you can distort her, but then her resilience is very powerful. She will recoil back to her nature, she will recoil back to her own true existence. No one can stop it. The means that she will resort to might appear cruel to you, but it's not cruelty. She is hardly just no shedding off her things, like ಕೈ ಕೊಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಆ ತರ. She's We have forced her to be something what she is not. How long will she be? She may accept that for some time, but there she has thresholds. She will not just let you go on doing that kind of an abuse for long, for ever. So yeah, birth rate control. Who are we to speak about birth rate control? She knows if she is happy, she can bear 10 times more population than what the earth has today. They are speaking about we have a need for mechanization in agriculture because population of the world is going up. 40% of the agriculture that 40% of the corn that is grown in America goes to manufacture fuel, ethanol. They use corn to manufacture ethanol. So they are not really growing for the purpose of eating, feeding. It's to serve the economy of their consumption. %70 of the agricultural produce is there to feed the machine. It's there to feed the economy. If you ate a guava, we would be satisfied with one guava, two guavas. But if you want to make a real fruit, that package, you'll need a lot of guavas. You drink one of that, maybe it's like eating some 15, 20 guavas. But would you have eaten so much? You won't need that much for your well-being. And you have stripped off so many things from that guava, which actually is food. Like that. Well, anyway, we'll come to the point. The point is that there is no sun. If you have to take sannyas, then please don't think in terms of birth rate. We are nobody to think. If you have to take sannyas, dude. That you do. That's your the world, God's creation, and God are much bigger than all that. Bihar became Bihar because of people taking sannyas left, right, and center. Then Buddhist Vihars today in Thailand and all are in such a way that you will find pornographic images also in the Vihars. Because their claim is that we shouldn't be bored. So then people end up staying in the Bihar for some time, and then they'll come back. And they will pursue materialistic pleasure even more vigorously than they ever did before, because they feel a little more stimulated now. So the point is, this segregation, that material activity is different and spiritual activity is different, has led to this kind of depravity and this kind of degeneration. This degenerate civilization is, in one way or the other, the result of such a bifurcation of spirituality and materialism. There is nothing material. What is material? Name me one thing that is material here. Come on, who will take the step to name something that is material? I want to show you that nothing is material. What is material? Tell me. Name me one thing that you think is totally material. Doing homeworks is material. How come, man? Doing homeworks, there is spirit involved there, no? Maybe under protest you are involved, but then there is some spirit thought at some time that you have to do homework. So there's a spirit involved. The point is that any matter matter moves under the decree of spirit. So when anything, even if you're looking at a column in front of you, you're looking at a table in front of you, there has been a spirit at some point who decided to organize that matter in that form. So it's ultimately the decree of a spirit. It's a spiritual decree that this matter needs to be in this shape. And when you are putting it in that shape, then you have a general idea of how long it's to be in that form. Spending money. Yeah, the process of spending money, and you can call it material with the idea. What's the idea of calling it material? Is that it will make you more materialistically inclined. It'll turn you away from your own well-being. So in that way, you can call it materialistic, that activity. But what I'm saying is, anything that you do, it involves spirit. If something is there, even the things that are available for you to lavishly spend money and try to get, even those things were manufactured, brought there, kept there, marketed by spirit, by somebody who is a spirit. You are a spirit, no matter whether you acknowledge that you are a spiritual or not. We are ultimately spirit. Come to terms with that fact. Please do away with this idea that you have to become something. This whole process of sadhana is not about becoming anything. It's about coming back to who you are. You are already something. The whole society has done this violence on the human mind that it has made us disconnect from what we are. It's the most pleasurable, the most comforting thing to be with yourself, to be yourself. You are entitled to be yourself. No one has the right to threaten you to not be yourself. They can threaten. You need not take that threat because it is not worth it. What is he threatening you with? That person is offering you some money, or is he threatening you that he'll kill you? It's better to die rather than not be yourself. Because if you're yourself, even when you die, you will get another body by the arrangement of nature and God. But if you're not yourself, you're already dead. It's worse than death. And when you have that kind of a resolve, the forces which tend to seek to manipulate you from what you are, they will desist from engaging with you. Yanmaya cheshtitam pumsaha sthityutpatyapyaya hi anugrahastannivrattehe atmalabhaya cheshyate. God is running this entire creation to give you a sense of what you are, to give you a sense of yourself, not with any other purpose. There's nothing here to attain from outside. Everything that is there outside is meant to serve this one purpose, that it brings you to your own sense. And as long as we have come to that, we have failed. No matter what you have become, it's not about what you become. It's about what you are. And you are what you are regardless of what the society has made you into. You were what you are even before you ever intellectually engaged in anything. It's not an outcome. It's not an intellectual or an emotional construct, what you are. What you are is what you are. It's a hard reality that you may seek to go away from it in madness, but you will not find solace in anything else other than what you are. So this is the basic spirit of Adhyatma, that we understand that we are already something and we hold that to be valuable. Gravity is material. Rishit, how can you say this, man? Gravity is akarshana, sankarshana, attraction. You can attract somebody like that. The whole why Sheshanaga is holding up the whole the Bhumandala, and when he's holding up the whole Bhumandala, and that by his power he's holding that what we are experiencing as the sense of gravity, attraction, sankarshana, akarshana, sankarshana. They call it gravity, attraction. There is a spirit behind it. Newton may not have known it, but you know it. Newton came up with a way of measuring that force, that it is directly proportional to the product of the masses and inversely proportional to their distance, to the square of the distances apart. And then he might have put a gravitational constant, which is unfortunately not a constant. It has been changing. But they might have arrived at a fairly good value, reasonable value now. But then, see, where the science has reduced itself from its original conception that we will unravel the whole world. Now they have reduced to their actual awkat, that we are people that will measure things, but we don't know what it is ultimately. They set out in the beginning to say that we will unravel the mysteries of the world, but then they understood that we know that gravity is there, but why it is there we don't know. So gravity is definitely spiritual, man. It's not a material thing. Anything, any movement that you see, characharam, mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. Everything moving, acting is by the direct conscious will of God. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. So there is this greater consciousness as per whose will matter moves. Please try to understand this much. It's a very intrinsic part. It's a very important part of Vedanta, of Veda Vijnana. Please come out of this bifurcation that spirituality has anything to do with shaving your head and wearing saffron robes. I've told you about three kinds of the major three matas that are there. People had a problem with all the disparity and the inequality that they see in the world. So they couldn't find a way to actually, reckon with that, to come to terms with that. So they had to manufacture a philosophy saying that ultimately everything is one. Because they couldn't be comfortable with this disparity in the world. So then somebody else came that they found it too absurd to say that ultimately everything is one. So they said everything is not one, but we are all equal ultimately. You understand who it is? Shankara said that everything is one. Ramanuja came and said that is too absurd. But then the purpose is the same, that they have a problem with disparity. You are something else, you have your abilities, I'm not you, so I will be envious of what you have. People saw this and they saw that there is no way you can satisfy the person. What can you say? You will also get what he has? You can't say that, no. Maybe in another lifetime, then who has seen another lifetime, he will say. But then if you say that in truth, everybody is one, in that way, even the person who is and whom you are envying, his money is also your money. So, and even the donation that you give to their mata, you will anyway become one with it later. You will unite with it, no. So you can come and donate to our mata. When everything becomes one, you will also become one with it later. So nothing is lost in that way, you see. Hey, does it seem, what I'm saying, does it seem too outrageous? I hope not. So, yeah, so these matas and siddhantas and all, they are there, they are like, if you take the, most of them have come with the idea of making a fool of us. That is why Madhvacharya came and he taught that we need to come out of the grips of such fancy fantasies, illusions, constructs, intellectual constructs. And we need to get to reality. We don't have a problem with disparity because disparity itself is a wrong thing. If we are having problem with somebody else having what you don't have, then it is not because he has it. That is not the the core of the problem is that you have a mental problem. So Madhvacharya said, you engage in your kartavya, you engage in your niyata karma, and that will purify your mind, and that will bring you out of that kind of envy and that intolerance for somebody getting better than you, somebody that being better than you. So I think today's point that you need to take is that come out of this bifurcation that spirituality means something that you do in the monasteries and matas. It is spirituality, and sadhana is something which is there even in brushing of your teeth, even in your sleeping wakefulness, even in the blinking of your eye. You have to awaken to that sadhana and relate to the Jagat and God and the entirety of existence in that connection, in the wakefulness of that connection. That connection is sadhana. That connection is uh, that will return. That will restore you to what you originally are. Any questions? Yeah, Bhajana, please go ahead.
Hare Rama Acharya. Uh,
Yes.
my question regarding Advaita Vedanta. So, Advaita says that only sannyasi get Advaita moksha. So, if everything is Advaita, then why only that sannyasi Advaita gets moksha?
That means you have to ask them, no? You are asking me. Means they have to ask. You have to ask them. Correct. You are right. You have to ask them that.
They are
I,
telling
I
that
don't I don't I don't I don't know why. I don't know why, and I hope I'll never know why. Because if I know it, to know it, I need to become a degenerate. To accept that, I need to distort my mind. I don't think that it is so. Now, if they think that it is so, we need to ask them why they think it is so. And I don't think even after they tell their answer, I will understand it. I hope I don't understand it. If I understand it, that is a sign that my mind has gone crazy.
Guruji, during even yesterday also, and in the previous sessions, even yesterday at Puttigemata also, few people brought this up during one discussion, that the highlighting the irony of how you mentioned that even Buddhism was mainly responsible for bringing this idea of sannyasa being mandatory for achieving anything in spirituality, and how even the Mayavadis propagated the same thing, because the
Yeah.
even Bananje Govindacharya highlighted this irony that Shankaracharya keeps propagating that all are one and everyone has one and the same soul, and we should forget that we have an identity of our own. But ultimately, he says that just to realize that all are one, it is possible only for a Brahmin man who takes up sannyasa.
Yeah, isn't that ironical? That means we can laugh at that, but we can how to understand that. You can never understand that. You better not understand that.
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah,
And
it's a crazy thing. This has you see it will the how crazy it is very visible to us now. Maybe it was not so clearly visible then. So people of even with reasonable intellect may have subscribed to such a thing in a writ of confusion. Uh, so but yeah, by God's grace, now it's so clear to us that it's definitely a farce. It's don't spoil your. We should not be spoiling our life by no. Our life is not meant to be spoiled with such wrong ideas. We've got a life to live, man. God has given such a beautiful world. There is such beauty. There is such experience to feel. There is so much to live. Modern thinkers saw that all the Modern thinkers saw that all the patterns in the universe are unconscious, but they are still controlling the universe. They would say there is no necessity of accepting consciousness. Everything is interdependent on each other. I get what you're saying, but then is there any specific pattern that you are referring to, Rishit? The interdependency, it is not just mutual, but it is also it has got a linear angle to it. So that will give the reasons why that creates infinite regress. That when something is dependent on something else, and that something else should ultimately be dependent on something else, so that is endless, infinite regress, it's called. So interdependence cannot explain ultimate causation. I try to understand what I just said. It might take little effort to get your head around that, but it's not that difficult either. If something has to be a cause, if something has to be dependent on something, and everything is living only because of that, because of being dependent on something else. So okay, something is dependent on something, and that something has to be dependent on something else, and this something has to be dependent on something else. Now that you can't close that loop. That loop goes to an infinite regress. Please try to see what I'm trying to say. There's no closing of that loop. Blind man, lame man. Yeah, but everyone is not just blind and lame. No, there are people who are neither blind nor lame also. With this limited example, you can't explain the whole of creation like that. By that proposition, everybody should have a dependence on something else means you are negating the existence of something which is perfect, which is not dependent. I don't think there is any proof or any reasoning to that effect that you can, because mutual dependency is something that has been necessitated by your, I mean, the modern thinkers that you quote, by their necessity to explain it off without without any necessity for perfect being. Now, necessity cannot explain, doesn't become a proof on its own. There's no way that you can support with evidence that it is so. Please think about these things. And when you say even see, we don't just mean see with your eye. We have the Veda. First of all, Veda Pramanya is something that is a they have, the modern thinkers have a problem with accepting that there is something called Veda. They think that Vedas are written by some freelance Brahmins who had no other work to do. That's how all the initial researchers on Vedic literature have written. But then only later they realized that we were wrong. So yeah, through the Veda we see the existence of the perfect entities. So you can't just close the loop. Everyone is not just lame and blind. Even perceptual reality doesn't support that model of existence. We see that in existence there is a hierarchy and there is a linear dependency. There's a linear model of dependency of one being dependent on the other, and that being dependent on something else. It is not just mutual dependence. Where do you see just only mutual dependence even in the world that you behold? It's not even supported by direct visual evidence. This argument, see, all this waste of, rather than this wasting time with this argument, try to engage with the profound world that God has given you, and try to not be a participant in the civilization that actually breaks you, isolates you from that. That's more important. And all the logics that you need to support the true nature of reality, to understand it, will come in you. You don't have to be dependent on somebody like me for that. These are not these reasonings are not a product. It's not an intellectual construct of mine. When you mention something like this, it looks absurd to me. How can you explain the whole world by a closed loop model like lame and blind? That means you have not seen enough of the world, or you don't cognize enough of the world that remains unexplained to you outside of such a construct. Fine, I will stop saying what I'm saying here. And Prajna, if you have to add something, if there is something that you need to add, please go ahead.
Okay, Guruji. I just wanted to mention that many have this misconception that aparoksha jnana is something which the other philosophers propagate, like taking up sannyasa and performing some sort of tapas. So I just wanted to mention that everyone should drop that mentality first to understand Tattvavaada properly.
Correct.
And I think that is where the misconception started, that and some people also had this notion that aparoksha jnana means the person dies and gets moksha.
No.
And others
Correct.
also have this feeling that aparoksha jnana, because we Madhvas only explicitly talk about it, so some people think that this is something, a concept made up by Madhvacharya or something, and especially the
Oh,
Mayavadis propagate it like that, and they spread this misconception.
correct.
So
Yeah, so we need to become historically aware, spiritually aware, emotionally aware of how mind manipulation, subversion works.
I think Manjunath has a query.
Is it?
Uh,
Yeah.
Hare Ramacharya, one of my Advaiti friend every time asks me, when do you get Aparoksha Gnana? Like that. He asks me.
You tell you already have aparoksha jnana. I have aparoksha jnana right now. Means you tell him he wants to meet a person with aparoksha jnana. You tell him you are there first of all. But if you don't know that you have aparoksha jnana, you tell him I know a person who has aparoksha jnana. We'll go and meet him. How are you cognizing dharma and adharma, man? Dharma is what, visible to your naked eye or what? But don't you feel that when something you do adharma, don't you feel a sense of repulse? How are you perceiving that it is adharma? Don't you have aparoksha jnana? It is coming from the other eye. Don't think your other eye is dead. Aparoksha jnana is functionally present. Without that, you can't function as a being. When we say a person got aparoksha jnana, means that there's a certain threshold beyond which he can directly perceive the presence of God. Then we say at that level we recognize that okay, some aparoksha jnana has happened to him, but that does not mean that he was bereft of aparoksha jnana until that time. Everybody has aparoksha jnana. Otherwise, you couldn't sense what is dharma, adharma. Where is it visible to the naked eye? Think clearly, please. Did you understand what I'm trying to say, Manjunath?
Hare Ramacharya, understand Acharya.
Uh-huh. Prajna, you think that was clear?
Definitely, Guruji.
Okay. So when you are getting, don't think aparaksha jnana, somebody will come and give you. Even when Krishna said, Divyam dadami te chakshuhu, natumam shakyase drashtum anayanaiva swachakshusha, Divyam dadami te chakshuhu, pashyame yogamaishwaram. Even then Krishna didn't give another eye to Arjuna. Krishna merely opened the inner Indra eye that Arjuna has inside him. That he is Indra, he has that Indra vision. But functioning as a human being, he had limited his vision to that of a human being. But the level of aparoksha that he needed to pursue the Vishwarupa was greater than that at the level of his Mula Rupa as Indra. So Arjuna opened that eye of Krishna. Krishna opened that eye of Arjuna for a moment to see the Vishwarupa. And that is what he said, that I will give you that eye to see, means he will not give from somewhere else. He will open his own inner eye. So it is there in you always, even now at this point, this moment of time, you have that aparoksha inside. And that is not completely closed. It is open to that extent, to whatever extent you can understand that something is dharma, adharma. That means your aparoksha jnana is functional. Will you have reincarnation after aparoksha jnana, Swamiji? Aparoksha. Now I'm telling you that now already you have aparoksha. So you will, of course, you will be born again. Looks like, means no offense, but
No,
looks like.
Hare Rama Swamiji, I was asking complete approximation. Will you have reincarnation after that?
Of course, you will not have no complete aparoksha jnana, complete inner eyes open. Why you will have reincarnation after that?
Okay, then Swamiji, why did Raghavendra Swamiji, Purandara Dasaru, all these have incarnation? They were
Maybe they are
approximation.
huh? To live their prarabdha, and even beyond aparoksha jnana, you will live in a material body. But now, what you call complete, what is it? Even Purandara Dasa and Raghavendra Swami, their aparoksha jnana is not complete.
Oh, it is the full realization of Swarupa. They have not fully realized the Swarupa, Swamiji.
No, their sadhana is still pending now. That's why they are here.
Oh, okay, okay.
Even Rudra, Lord Shiva sadhana is supposed to go on, man, for another few kalpas.
Hmm. Thank you, Swamiji. I understood.
So these are all relative questions. Depends on who you are asking about, and that much with that much specificity to decide whether that fellow will be born again or not. Means who are we to decide that first of all? And even if it is maybe it is not. How does it matter to us now? Why you are so afraid of being born again? Huh?
No, no, like I had the doubt because they
Why
should
why
gain.
why that doubt should be coming out of some real concern that you have.
Yeah,
Otherwise, that
no,
doubt is not yours.
Ji Swamiji, my concern was that why, because they are approximately, why are they reincarnating and living in this material world? If they should get the Shweta Dvipa or not come back. And Purandar Dasuru had also forgot due to curse, right, Swamiji, at the start of his incarnation, that he was Narada.
We don't know. If we think, we hope that he is Narada. But even if he is not Narada, Purandradasa's words will mean a lot to me.
Hmm. Yes, Swamiji.
My acceptance of Purandradasa is not because he is Narada. If he is Narada, I'll be happy to know that. But then I don't know for now, for sure, whether he is Narada. And I don't think any other person who is telling you that he is Narada, that person also knows him, knows for sure that he is Narada.
Hmm. Okay, sir. Thank you, Swamiji.
So yeah, many of these questions are coming because of uh, some beliefs that you have gotten from certain Mathiya atmospheres. Now, I'm not saying that they're completely bad. You can definitely venerate Purandradasa, calling him a Narada. See, why so much? If somebody sings also, say some small girl comes and sings nicely, we'll tell her, no, hey, you are Saraswati, man. We'll tell no. Because we are seeing Saraswati in her. But that doesn't mean that she is really wife of Brahma. That not like that. But now, if she happens to be wife of Brahma, who is more fortunate than me to have heard her Sangita, man? I'll be more than happy if I come to know that girl who sang in front of me was actually Saraswati. You think I'll not be happy to know that? I'll be very happy to know that. But I'm not sure now if that is so. But even if I'm not sure, I will use such a phrase. I will tell, Amma, nenu Saraswati tar, nene Saraswati ne nenu. We tell that in our language. Yeah, you are not familiar with that usage?
I am familiar, but this is stated like a epistemic fact, Swami.
Who
That
states it as epistemic fact? That is not an epistemic fact. Please.
uh, sorry, Swamiji, I misunderstood.
No. Even the people who you might have heard from, even they would be misunderstood about this. They might be presenting it as an epistemic fact. It is not, and it need not be. Purandaradasa's writings have its own sublimity. They are elegant, and they are rich beyond all these. They are very, very, very profound. But we hope that, I think we feel he must be somebody so special, and if he is, we're very happy to know that we got to sing what Narada has composed. Isn't that a privilege? We would be happy to know, but do we know it? No, we don't know.
Mm. Yes, Swamiji.
Just like that.
These are all Paroksha Jnana. Somebody else told us, so we are believing.
Yeah, somebody told, no, so we are believing. With your own aparoksha, if you see Narada in Puran, when you see it, then you'll believe. No? That time also it will be your aparoksha. I have to get my aparoksha that he is Narada. Anyway, the aparoksha jnanas are also interconnected. So yeah, but please don't worry about such things. They will tell you Vadiraja is Mukhya Prana, and then this Raju, and these are all concerns that people are bringing up and fighting on those things. But I don't think so. It is worthwhile to fight on those concerns. Take the most essential things that is of real concern to your sadhana and proceed. People may fight over whether Purandarasa is Narada or not. There was a big fight recently going on that Kanva Rishi is actually Kanva Rishi is Brahma, is Amsha of Brahma or something like that. There's a Kanva Matha is there. One Matha is there. They considered Kanva their progenitor. So that Swamiji was he present in a Sudhamangala Karikrama in near Raichur. He came on stage. It was actually a Sudhamangala Karikrama, and this Swamiji started fighting with all the sannyasis there, including my guru who was there at that time. That Kanva is Brahma. He started fighting. Then after some days, that Swamiji he engaged in some misbehavior with some. He did some nonsense and he got thrown out of the Mata. Now there is a new Swamiji. The point is that these people fight over things which are not truly, it doesn't truly matter whether Kanva is Brahma or not.
What they said is more important.
Yeah, what you said and how much it allows you to realize your own self. And maybe when you realize, when you are so awake that you can see that this fellow is a Brahma, and I'll guarantee you, man, when you see that, no, you will know the rareness of that vision. You cannot, what you see with your aparoksha jnana, you will never try to impose on somebody else. But you will know that that is the truth. But you will also know that how you can't get a general acceptance of that, because how many people will you impose aparoksha jnana on, man?
Your aparoksha is somebody's paroksha.
Yeah, for them it is paroksha. So you may give them a means to understand that. And if they follow that means, and if they also arrive at yes, that Kanva is Brahma, okay. But anybody who has that aparoksha will know that you can't impose it like that. That somebody. So
Yes.
this whole game of he's that fellow and this person is that he's that. It sounds nice to speak, and definitely it's it lifts our spirits in some way. That yeah, the people whom we are engaged with, they are not ordinary human beings. They are like very great souls, and to know that we need not subscribe to these attributions that he is Narada and he is that and this. Try to understand the greatness of Purandaradasa by relishing his writings. You will see there, and they will bear a stronger indication to you about the greatness of Purandaradasa than to even just call him Narada. Okay, Purandaradasa is Narada, but do you know who is Narada? Do you know the greatness of Narada?
To some extent.
To some extent, but we only see him as a joker, no?
Uh, yes, Swamiji, that is the common false notion.
Yeah, yeah. So like this, see, okay, they'll say that this Jayatirtha is Indra, all that. But then hardly do they know about what is Indra also. You are saying A is B, but that B is also unknown to you. So why go to the extent of telling that A is B? Simply accept A as A, no? If he happens to be some B, okay, we'll realize that when we have to. But for now, it doesn't matter whether that A is B or not, because both A and B are equally unknown to us.
The message is more important than the message.
The message is more important. The messenger is also very important. But attributing an identity to him, especially if the other identity whom you are attributing to him also is equally unknown to you, what's the point there? Definitely the message and the gravity of the message tells us about the greatness of the messenger.
At this stage, we don't have to worry too much about
attributing an identity to him. But if you are overwhelmed by the greatness of that messenger, well and good. Try to fathom his greatness from what he is giving you, not from attribution. It might give you a sense of Narada, that interspace travel. He's doing interspace travel and he's telling these words. It may create, but that charm ultimately, I know that I've been in that. No, that is why I know that kind of a enchantment. That enchantment is of not much use to you. I'm telling you.
Yeah, like they say, Sai Baba's, Shri Sai Baba's greatness is in the miracles he does. But Rayaru's greatness is in the works he has written,
Yes,
not
yes.
the pavadas he does.
Correct.
Rayaru is great because of his works.
I told this time, Raghavendra Swami's birthday was there 2 days ago. So, kind of like Sringeri people have made a Rayara Matha there in Sringeri. It is another height of. So, so, my mother doesn't understand all this Matha dynamics and all this. So, she very innocently she told me, why don't you just go and read Rayaru's works there? I told her, Amma, you don't understand. You can't do that. Why will the Sringeri Mutt people allow us to? Rayaru will be scolding them left, right, and center in his work. In the sense, he won't be scolding them as such, but then that he will. The explanations of Rayaru goes against the grain of the Shankara Mata's understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. So why would they allow a person like me to come and sit there and speaks against their philosophy? So like this. But I know, okay, so they were also very eager to go to that matha and spend time there. So I told them, see, rather than going to any matha, take up Raghavendra Swami's Gita Vivriti, his Gita Bhashyartha Sangraha, and read one or two words, and that is more. It will put you in front of Raghavendra Swami much more than going and standing in front of that gold and silver. What is there that gold, silver? You go to a goldsmith shop, man, there is more gold than that. Anyway, what? They are not going to give you that gold now. That gold Vrindavana will be there. That Vrindavana, that Kavacha will be there. That they will give you. They will not give you. No, you are just getting to stand in front of it now. More closer than that. If you go to the goldsmith shop, you can stand more closer to the gold than that. At least in the goldsmith shop, he'll allow you to touch the gold, man.
Rayaru himself has said, Jnana Karya is more important than that.
Yeah. So you read the Bhashyartha Sangraha of Raghavendra Swami. You will get in touch with Raghavendra Swami, and by the power of his words, when you pay attention to that, you will also, if God willing, come in touch with the spirit of what Krishna is teaching, which is much more relevant to us than understanding that Rayaru is whether he is a Ruju or not, whether he is Brahma's servant or not. If he is fine, that's good, but there is much more that we can realize from his work. And we can be awestruck by his real greatness that we have experienced, by its ability to dispel our darkness and awaken us to the spirit of the teachings of Krishna. That is the power of Rayaru. And see the sacrifices that he did in his life for this. And in his own in the ekanta that he had after doing all the japa, tapa, the puja and everything, in his own recluse, in his most valuable time, he wrote what he wrote, and that is what we have when we read. Actually, when you read Gita Bhashya Sangraha, or when you listen to it from somebody who is explaining that to you, you are having the most privileged, prime, the moments that you are spending with Rayaru's most valuable moments in his life. Maybe if you would have even, if we are living with Raghavendra Swami also at this point of time, maybe you would not be allowed to come and sit in proximity with him when he is writing the Gita Bhashyartha Sangraha, because he would be very, very meditative and he would be wanting to be in Ekanta. But when we now get in touch with his work, then we are actually getting to spend those moments of Ekanta with Raghavendra Swami. I think that is much, much more important than that they will have taken some piece of wood and made some paduke there and covered it with gold. And then they will wave some incense and and then they will say that for you, Rayaru Prasada has come. No, Advaitis can worship Rayaru, but are they willing to accept his bhashya? That's the question. They definitely worship Rayaru, but are they willing to accept his bhashya? Ask this question to them. What does worship mean? When you fall at the feet of someone and worship that person, you know what you're telling. You're willing to accept what he's saying. Imagine this is a ridiculous scene. Somebody is sitting and he's telling you something important, and then you wave some incense. Yeah, please hold what you have to say. I don't have to. I don't want to do anything much with that. I'll just wave this incense in front of you, and then hold your feet for some time and transfer my karma to you. And I'll wave the lamp to you, and that is my worship to you. And please bless that something good happens to me. Hey, that's fine. Okay, I'll conclude for today. Uh, if anything else, please take it forward. After a few things, yeah. Yes, सर्वगुण संपूर्णः सर्वदोष विवर्जितः प्रियतां प्रीत एवालं विष्णुर्मे परमः सुहृत् शरीर चेष्टापि मम प्रणामः स्तुतिस्तु वागीन्द्रियवृत्तिरस्तु सर्वात्मनो वृत्तिरनुस्मृतिस्ते सर्वं त्वदाराधनमेव भूयात् श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु अच्युतानंत गोविंद अच्युतानंत गोविंद अच्युतानंत गोविंद अच्युतानंत गोविंद स्मृतिमात्रार्तिनाशना रोगान्नाशय मे शेषान् आशु धन्वन्तरे हरे अच्युतानंत गोविंद नामोच्चारण भेषजात् नश्यन्ति सकला रोगाः सत्यं सत्यं वदाम्यहम् समस्तदुरितव्याधि संगध्वंसपटीयसे अच्युतानंत गोविंद नाम्ने धाम्ने नमो नमः अच्युतानंत गोविंद हरे राम ಅಂದವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಇವಾಗ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನ ಮೈಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಲೇಟ್
ಇದು IVF ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಇನ್ಫರ್ಟೈಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು
ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಮ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಇನ್ಫರ್ಟೈಲ್
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇವನ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಕೌಂಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫರ್ಟೈಲ್
sperm count also anything that you do which is not nature's way. See, you will not find even one lean animal in the forest. You will never find. For them to be lean, there should have been human interaction. Human beings have spoiled and anything can happen. Adre, in a forest that has never been, you will not find one lean bird, one not functional tree. You will not find that because nature is papurna in itself. Anything that deviates from that, you are asking for weakness. It will remove you from that purnatva. So IVF ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫಾದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ಫರ್ಟೈಲ್ IVF ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದು ಏನೇನೋ ಅದು ಶುಕ್ರ ದೋಷಗಳಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಫಾರ್ ದಮ್ ಏನು ಇವಾಗ ನನ್ನ ಕೈಲಿ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಡೀ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ. It is reducing the sperm count from 200 million to 50.
The species are lessened.
To lessen the species.
In fact, now the population it is going to die in some years. Now they're saying start.
The population is not replacing itself.
It is gone into a negative now.
Yeah.
China is gone and beyond repair now.
I don't know, but see, those are the demographics, the statistics. But the fact is, nature doesn't want to produce human. So why do you want to act against nature? If she wanted, then she would have given you the 200 million sperms.
Japanese are coming to Northeast India to adopt babies so that they look like Chinese. Because they don't have kids, suddenly
Oh.
Chinese population has gone into almost everywhere.
Oh, that's correct. There's one person who is sponsoring SDM. He's a major link. He's a Japanese. SDM, he keeps visiting at least once in a Dharmasthala. That fellow is a Japanese, total Japanese. And he has a Japanese daughter and he's looking for an Indian husband. He openly mentioned, I'm looking for an Indian husband for my daughter. Whether we should open our minds to.
I think they're still in very recent initial stages. The questions they were asking. And then when you're in LKG, you should not worry about the engineering syllabus. They were all asking, Professor, yaar.
Yeah.
In LKG is that, LKG is
Yes, yes.
Hare Rama Guruji.
Hare Ram, Ranya.
So shall we end today's session now?
No. If you want to have any discussion, please have.
Okay, Guruji.
But I am going to log out now. My friend
I don't
is saying.
think anyone here has any more queries.
Okay. There's a friend who is sitting here. He said that their queries should be more concerned with their sadhana now.
Yes, Guruji.
He's saying that they're asking way beyond. Means the questions are all featuring in realms that do not concern their sadhana at this time.
Yes, Guruji.
And definitely these classes are not meant to be some kind of an entertainment.
Definitely, Guruji.
It's a serious sadhana oriented effort, which should be of that nature. So we request everybody to engage in sadhana to whatever extent possible, and then you will come up with real questions.
Yes, Guruji.
I also feel bored to answer questions which are not real, which are not your questions. Yeah. Hare
Rama Guruji.
Hare Rama. Yes.
I have two questions. First, I just want to understand Varnashrama Dharma. And second one is some Advaitvadis or Mayavadis. They also quoting some shlokas or whatever from Shastras where they proved Pancha Deva Upasana something. So just kindly display this.
I don't think they don't quote anything like that. Shankaracharya has made a system of Panchopasana because he thought that is a way to harmonize the various sects that were existent in the society, which were giving up and deviating from the Vedic path in pursuit of their own favorite deity. Panchopasana is clearly something that Shankaracharya came up with. And he said, if you are a Durga favorite person, keep Durga in the middle. If you want Shiva, keep him in the middle, and it will become Shiva Panchayatana, Durga Panchayatana, Ganapati Panchayatana, Surya Panchayatana, like this. It's not a system of worship that is authentically Vedic. He saw it as a necessity to be introduced, even assuming good intentions. It is for the purpose that let people not stray away from the Vedic path. Got that? To understand this answer, you should know a phenomenon that was rampant at that time, that people in the name of a favorite deity would make sects in the name of that deity, like the Shaiva, Vaishnava, and they formed their own sect which pursued its own noesis, its own ideologies, which gradually strayed, which they were straying from the Vedas. If you know this phenomena that was rampant in those years, then you will understand what I'm trying to say. Shankaracharya faced a situation of that kind, so he wanted them to be on the same platform of the Veda. We can all live. So he tried to. That was seeing good intentions. It must have been for the purpose of integrating the Veda with of telling people that you can practice your favorite deity worship. On the You don't have to leave the Veda for that. You can be based on the Veda and still practice your own favoritism, deity favoritism. But then Madhva's stance is different. He did not give Panchayatana and all. He said that your deity favoritism is baseless. You may love a certain deity, but then going to the extent of saying that Ganapati is the source of everything, that is a problem. Deity favoritism should not lead to asadupasana. You understand?
Yeah, Guruji. But whatever I heard from them, they were quoting some.
No,
I
leave
think.
quotations. Forget quotations. You have your see. When you have your eye to see, why you need a mirror?
Then how we counterattack, because they are also quoting some like no
I'm not quoting any shastra. I'm telling you this.
Okay.
Did I quote any shastra? Now, when I'm talking and answering your question,
I remember one Ganesh Gita or something.
are you even listening to what I'm saying? Did I quote any shastra as I was answering your question?
No, 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 no.
I'm appealing to your common sense.
Yeah,
Common sense, your own inner sense, it is more valuable than shastra.
right.
Shastra is there for you to sharpen your sense, which is your own inner eye. Yasya nasti swayam prajna shastram tasya karoti kim. Netrabhyam vihinasya darpanah kinkarishyati. Now, this is not a quotation. This is another verse which is there to awaken you to your common sense. It is saying that who doesn't have his inner prajna awake, what use is Shastra to that person? A person who has no eye, what will he do with a mirror? You first of all have to know how to use your own eye. Question of mirror will come later. Netrabhyam vihinasya darpanah kinkarishyati. Try to see that. Try to understand that. That's the spirit with which I'm saying. That if you don't have an eye, first open your eye, then use the mirror. Don't hold the mirror with your eyes closed. You may feel that you are holding the mirror, but it's of no use to you. Its use will begin the moment you open your eye. So I'm asking you, I'm telling you, I'm appealing to your sense to understand the fact. This is a historical thing that I'm saying, that there were people for this. How you can know this? See the just yesterday there was a book release program in which Agama Dambara, a book was released, translated into Kannada by Vijay Simhacharya, and that program was conducted for the purpose of releasing that book, because that book historically had some importance, that it takes us back into the reality, the paradigms of the 8th century. So go to the real literature that was written at that time, and you will know about the situation of the minds of the people at that time. And having seen such literature, I'm telling you that people at that time were forming certain sects based on their favorite deity. Somebody had Vishnu as favorite, somebody has Shiva as favorite, somebody has Ganesha as favorite, somebody has Muruga as favorite. They started saying their favorite deity is the supreme. So Shankara didn't have a problem with that. He said, you can worship anybody as supreme. Now, so that all these sects, all these people remain together, he combined 5 of them, and he said that, see man, whatever deity you worship is your favorite and whom you think as supreme, you keep that deity in the middle, okay? So that will become Shiva Panchayatana. understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah,
These are
Guruji, got
historical
it.
facts. Quotations, I can write a Sanskrit verse for this and you can quote, but I don't think we need to engage with that because it's very clear from whatever language we are speaking in. So then Shankaracharya, he saw that endorsing that thing would maybe not make people walk away from each other. But Madhvacharya saw no use, he saw no value to keeping people in ignorance like that. He flatly told them, don't practice such favoritism. You can like somebody, you can like your brother or your sister, and you can think that your brother is the most handsome guy in the world. That is your eye. But that may not be the fact. So don't bury fact under favoritism. That is what Madhva said. And then so he never endorsed anything like Panchayatana and all this to harmonize people. He told them that real harmony can only happen on the basis of the truth. So why to endorse a lie? Muruga is the supreme deity is a lie. Why to endorsing that? How long will that harmony that you have achieved through untruth? How long will it stay? How long do you think it will stay? Okay, Hare Rama, Narayan, Narayan.